Ahoy guys, welcome back to Clockwork Noodles for the 10th episode of Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. You're not delayed, congratulations, I actually managed to get back in on time. Alterations to my plans, I'm actually leaving for London tomorrow, so you guys get your video on time. I felt so bad with the Vinland Saga one, that was delayed by 4 days. I don't take very many breaks. I think the last bumper round is gonna be later in the month anyway, and that's the new season, so it doesn't matter guys, all good. A big thank you to everybody who's watching. I think it's the Vinland Saga guys who did make this happen, for letting me hit 666. I believe it's still 666. Go grab a look at it before it changes. But we are officially the cursed YouTube channel. It makes me very happy. I think a few days ago from the Pain Train family and the Vinland Saga family, can you let me hit 666 for my birthday as a treat? My birthday is tomorrow, so we have hit the target 1 day early. Thank you guys so much. I've taken a picture now, so feel free to knock it over 666. It really does mean a lot to me that I've had a few of you guys checking in if I'm okay. There has been a delay because I wasn't in the country. I am back now. We're here to break down episode 10. I have short notes because I wasn't overly happy in the video. I'm just going to go through it very quickly, not bash on too much about it. This show for me started in such a great place. I don't know what it is that has made them fall off the edge, whether the light novels are the same or not. I can't imagine they've rushed. It feels rushed. I don't know whether the show feels like it's jumping from topic to topic. This week just made me infuriated in so many different ways. Slavery to sexism. This show hasn't initially built the sexism aspect into it right from the start, so it's only kind of been pulled out on a convenience, it feels. We are about 2 weeks away from my overview for spring 2023. I'm going to show you guys what 3 new shows are coming to the channel, whilst of course Vinland Saga is doing its long thing. There's your spoiler. Vinland Saga continues 24 episodes. It's one of the old-fashioned ones which still does the one season is 24 ep thing. I don't give out 10 out of 10s very much, but the last episode for Vinland Saga was 10 out of 10. Wish I could say the same about this one. Of course, a week later, you're going to have the end of season review where I'm going to crown top 3 anime of the season. Hopefully things happen and I can explain myself and you guys won't be too mad, but I think a few people seem to be leaning on the fence that I should be telling the truth. This is Clockwork Noodles. I'm just going to tell you my 3 shows. They're not in line with anybody else's. I've always noticed that my taste in anime is different. I do seem to like a lot of the shows that everyone overhypes. I like them, but there'll be times where I don't like something that's very popular, or I will like something that's unpopular. I guess at the end of the day, if you're tuning in for my top 3, you're curious on what I found was my top 3. Make sure you tune into that video and hopefully don't hate me too much. Going back to some sexism and the idea that women are not allowed to make sacred foods, and we're about to get a bit of a story which does feel like it could have been told a lot earlier in the show. And also with the whole women not being able to make sugar art, it's a little bit weird you say this because we were told that Anne's mother was a very well-known artisan. If she's a very well-known artisan, you're still holding these really old-fashioned beliefs that women should not be allowed to do sugar. Does feel a little hypocritical. This whole episode for me was just me screaming stereotype after stereotype starting to come up. I love this show. I'm really irritated that this show has done this to me because I was a very big champion of it. I managed to get quite a few people to watch it. Now that it's kind of falling off the tracks a bit, I feel bad because I always feel bad when I recommend an anime to someone and then it turns around and the last 2 episodes fall apart. Well, an anime in particular I love to pieces, but I will never recommend Paradise Kiss. That is a show that, for me, 10 out of 10 up until the last episode. I will never recommend this anime to anybody because I know what the last episode's like. The last episode, for me, ruined the show. The show is fantastic. It's about fashion and modelling and design, all of this lot. Really real topics get brought up. But will I ever recommend it? No. If you go check it out on your own, it's not because I recommended it. We are told that a woman fell in love with the king of the fairies, so we now have this story that feels really important, just only now being touched upon. It could have even been told as a fairy story or something right at the start. It feels really important because it's important to justify the sexism that is going on, which makes no sense because he then goes on to say it's just a story. However, it's just a story, but people are actually banning women from making sugar from it, so it's clearly not just a story, it's got power. But a woman fell in love with the king of the fairies, made women and fairies bad. Grr. Does make me wonder who the king of the fairies was. Ever was actually a king of the fairies at some point. Women falling in love with fairies thing seems to be a bit of a trademark on the show because I'm also in love with a fairy. Bridget and your just love out of nowhere for love of beautiful things irritated me. You're meant to love Shao for his personality. You're meant to love him because he is Shao. He's not a pet. Bridget, I don't hate you as much as Jonas, but you are on the hate list. But it's very easy with this show because this show doesn't exactly try and make likeable characters. characters. It almost spends too much time making hateable characters. I will say, thankfully, Mr. Ratface, I'm calling him Ratface because I believe he's Jonas's uncle. He allows Anne to have some apples, which is great. Hopefully makes something, even though I don't think Anne seems really in the right frame of mind to make anything right now. I was wondering if she would make Shal, but with Keith making Shal, I'm not quite sure she's going to, because she doesn't really feel like she's in the right frame of mind to make a winning piece. We've been told, because it's been drilled into our head suddenly, we've only got one chance. We are also told that Keith is versing Jonas when it comes to inheriting the workshop, which is why Jonas apparently has his issues. I don't care. Moving on with that one. This next bit with Anne trying to do the hard labour. I get that she wants to help. The show's obviously trying to drive in that women can't help because they're not strong enough to do this, this and this. But it does seem like this process is almost a multi-person job, and there's got to be plenty of chances in this chain of making sugar on the mass production scale that there's going to be somewhere for her to be able to aid them without needing upper body strength. It does, because she doesn't have upper body strength, doesn't make her inferior. It just means her body is shaped differently to do some different work. And being rescued by Elliot thing really irritated me, because then all the guys see this, proving that's why we don't allow women. This guy had to go rescue her. She couldn't do anything. Awkward episode for me. And then Bridget comes along, and it felt like a contradiction because suddenly there was a woman here and she's here to help in the kitchen, fair enough, but she's still in there and the guys don't treat her unfavorably, which feels weird. She then also picks on Anne for being the way that she is, which irritates me because as a woman, you should be defending her. And I was really hoping she was going to turn around and defend her or something, but she doesn't. Instead of using her as an ally, we end up turning her as a bit more of a forced jealousy aspect, which really irritates me because there's a few tropes in anime that I just don't like, and it automatically puts me off a lot of romances. I like romance, but there's two tropes in particular that if the show uses them, my interest just disappears. One is I forgot everything. Who the hell are you? I'm not in love with you anymore. I don't know. I just don't like that trope, and it's been used a few times. It was used actually in The Villainess last season. Talking about Villainess is technically the sister of this show. The artists are pretty much friends, and they did a nice little crossover and everything. Irony that one uses one trope and the other one's using the other trope that I don't like. The other trope is, oh, here is a random person right towards the end of the season who is now in love with the MC, and he's going to try and take the MC away, or she's there to make Anne jealous because she sees her with Shal, and then Shal's now seeing the reverse with Keith. I don't like this trope. Maybe I'm going too deep on this one, imprinting too much of me on this anime, but she gets off to a bad start. So Bridget, bad start for me anyway, because she doesn't look like she wants to give her any food for no reason whatsoever. Why are you withholding her food? Why are you just picking on her for trying to do work? That makes no sense. You withholding food is just you being a douchebag. Shal coming to the rescue was great, but then seeing the way that she was falling. I did write keep your mitts off, but it doesn't really apply because she does get her mitts all over him this week. Jonas this week plays the role of the lapdog. He kind of comes around, says a few things, then walks off. Doesn't make him any more palatable, but as long as he's out of my way, we're all good. One nice moment for the episode was Shal admitting that the one who didn't want to be parted from Anne was actually him. And obviously when we have the forced jealousy aspect, Anne turns away not to actually see Shal pushing Bridget away from him. Shal doesn't want Bridget there, and Shal has every single reason not to want her there because she admits to loving him quite quickly. I will buy you. You can be with me. I won't make you work late. An item, an object. He's not a pet. You've also presumed something and you're incorrect. He's a free individual and you're coming along saying, hey, why don't I buy you? And I can give you all of this and treat you lavishly. You just want him because he looks good. And Shal has had this many, many times. He's had this with many people trying to buy him because he looks gorgeous. He doesn't look like a typical warrior fairy. So people just presume he's a companion. We see Shal standing up for himself and also standing up for Anne. She accuses Anne of making him work late, and that's not the case. That is the bit I do like. I like Shal actually standing up for himself. But obviously the forced jealousy works both ways because he then sees her running hand in hand with Keith. Now Keith's art in particular is absolutely mind-blowing. I am glad that we finally found a challenger because this work is the best next to Anne we've seen. I think we've seen Hugh's work. Hugh's work was different, but his work was also really, really good. We finally got a challenger. However, it does feel like Anne isn't in the right frame of mind, and right now I don't think she would produce a piece anywhere near as good as Keith's. I did also wonder if he took Shal as his model Noodle because he thought she was also going to use Shal, and it was a direct challenge because he says, I'm really just here to challenge Anne. It's her last year. I want to make sure I'm there for it because Keith wants to see what she can come up with. I like Keith. I think he's a cool character, but I am worried now and wondering what Anne is actually going to make. I'm hoping it's in the title and it's a sugar apple or something, but I can't see how that is going to rival the beautiful statue of Shal, because this statue is absolutely gorgeous. Why does this show not want me to like any of the blondes in the story whatsoever? We've got another blonde who is winding me up. Bridget just kind of coming out with this, I love you. You don't know the first thing about him. Does she know his name? She knows the name because Anne said it, I think. She doesn't know the first thing about him. She doesn't know his history. She doesn't know what he likes. She sees something beautiful. She doesn't want to marry her fiance that has been arranged for her. She's now jumping onto the ferry. You're treating me differently. You wouldn't dare do this to a human. You're doing it because I'm a fairy. You're coming up to me, admitting your love for me because I'm a fairy. You're still treating me indifferently. There's still this inequality going on. You're looking down upon me to do this. And obviously, Anne doesn't see him push her away. And that is so irritating for me because if she had just continued to look, she would have seen it. And I don't know if it's suggesting that Anne could read their lips. I hate this kind of trope. This trope where you get this whole forced misunderstanding. And what's probably going to happen next episode is there's going to be even further misunderstanding as neither of them talk, or there's going to be an argument for no reason and everyone gets the wrong end of the stick. That's what's going to happen. It does work both ways, as we have the jealousy aspect also with Keith. Shal is a bit more smarter. He seems more smarter than Anne, and he's a little bit less immature. He probably will see it and be like, oh, fair enough. I think he'll probably hone in on the fact that she's happy, maybe. Hopefully next week I don't have to pull my hair too much out. I just watched it. It looks great right now. I really don't want to have to pull my hair out next week. Interesting episode, and we're only 2 episodes from the end, and I feel bad dropping anime so close because I did that with The Rose King. I dropped it 1 episode away from the conclusion. I don't want to do it with this one. To You Eternity ends this week. I will physically only have Vinland Saga coming out on the channel, and I can't do that. Off the back of the To You Eternity news, as soon as To You Eternity ends, which is the final episode's Monday, I will be bringing out GeoGuessr, everybody's favourite tune-in for me. Because I'll have 2 weeks of only having 2 shows coming out, I've decided that I am bringing back a nice chill round of GeoGuessr. I'm actually pretty good at it. Go check out the other GeoGuessr videos on the channel. Normally, we have fun. I basically guess where the hell in the world I am. The ongoing gag is Becca knows where we are if we're in the Philippines, but I don't pick the Philippines because I'll suddenly say it's English and go and put it in America, and then you end up being a whole world apart. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Also, I hope you can join me on those videos. They are fun. I get to talk to you guys get to know a bit about me. It allows me to talk to more than just one franchise at a time, which is why I really like the end of seasons, the midways. Just allows me to talk to everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to enjoy London tomorrow for my birthday. I will see you guys hopefully next week as well. And if you are tuning in for the final To You Eternity, that comes out on Monday. I am excited because it's been a very fun season. Hoping we'll get to season 3. It's difficult to call if a 3rd season is going to come out on a show because I'm still waiting for Noragami, and that still isn't out. We will see, but tune into that video for the final ever review on the 2nd season and the 1st season because I'll mix them together, and I will see you guys again soon. Thank you guys. Bye bye.